Yeah. Did you hear that?
Yep, of
Okay, Monica, thank you for doing this. Is it okay if we use your story publicly?
course.
Thank you. Can you or anyone you mentioned face legal prosecution or get into trouble for anything you mentioned?
No, sir.
Oh, I'm a sir. Nice. Will you spell your name so that I don't mess
It, Monica.
common spelling? I actually spelt that right. Which is rare. So
Not the spelling bee champ.
no, no, I get fucked with a lot because I spell how everything sounds.
Oh hell, spelling's overrated. You
I
know.
agree. I agree. Okay, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself however you want. I'm gonna start the timer and have fun. Be
All
here.
right. My name's Monica, and I am a recovering addict. And I think I might be an alcoholic too. I'm still figuring that out. But I've been sober since June 29th, 2021. And I don't know. I think my journey is probably like a lot of other people's, my shoes. I didn't identify as an addict for damn near 30 years. Um, and since I finally figured it out and accepted it, I've been able to help myself. It started when I was really little. Really, I've been surrounded by addiction and mental health issues since I was born. I had a really good family, but I had some issues. Um, I think most people can relate. My mom struggled with addiction, and it got pretty bad as I got older when I was a preteen. So I went through a childhood molestation with a family member. And I feel like that's kind of where mine really started. I started using alcohol and weed specifically in middle school. As soon as I hit middle school, I was partying with the high schoolers in sixth grade every weekend. I would be getting wasted. And now that I look back, I can see that I've never had a healthy relationship with alcohol. And it's always been dangerous from the get go. You don't get wasted, blackout drunk in sixth grade, you know? So I struggled with self harm when I was little. And as I got older, I learned that I could kind of quiet that noise by smoking, by drinking. And then the pills, those ultimately took me to my rock bottom, but it took me a long time to get there. So when I was young, my family would, let me just start by saying that partying was glorified in my family. Like the harder you party, the cooler you are. And I don't teach that in my house at all now. We don't drink here. When we party, like we eat, we have a good time, we have good food. But we don't have to have substances to have a good time. And I think growing up, I really thought that the more that I did, the cooler that I was, or the better. I don't even really know what I was trying to achieve, but I looked up to these people and I loved them. But seeing them live this kind of lifestyle always made me kind of idolize that. So started partying at a young age. When I went to high school, took it to a whole different level. I I got a serious boyfriend in middle school, and we stuck together through high school and early college. And his addiction took quite a turn for the worse a little bit before mine did, right as we broke up. But in high school, we were always the most fucked up. I got a party. If you're doing 16 triple C's, which are like these cough and cold pills that everybody did, we were doing 24, you know? We never just had a few drinks. We had a bottle of liquor always. And I didn't really fuck with pain pills much in high school. I didn't like them. And it's funny that those took over my life the way that they did later on, but you always think, I got this under control. I got this. I'm never going to do this, or I'm only going to do, I always said I would never snort my pills ever. That whenever I started snorting my pills, that it would be over. Because when my mom, my boyfriend, and my best friend started snorting their pills, their journey went, and I was still kind of hanging in there. So me and my high school boyfriend broke up when I was in college. and I met my first husband. We got married after 6 months, and I was able to keep my addiction at bay. My best friend that had started snorting her pills, she was already not doing well at all, and I was keeping it in there. I had a kid that really, when I got pregnant, that's really, I think, what saved me always. My oldest son is 9 now, and the last 10 years have been quite the journey. I thought that I was fucked up when I was younger, but the last 10 have been a whole different level. And honestly, I still didn't take it to the level that some people get to. And it's been rough. Like, I'm a survivor. My best friend is no longer here. My mom's no longer here. Okay, so whenever I met my first husband, I was using pills occasionally. I didn't have money to buy them much, and I wasn't snorting them, so I wasn't super addicted at this point. And I thought I had it under control. But whenever I had a baby, I became fully aware of these mental health issues that I had struggled with my whole life, but didn't even know what the word mental health meant. I had never really heard it, I don't think, or I didn't listen if I did hear it. And whenever I became aware of like depression and anxiety, I used to blame all of those feelings on, I'm a piece of shit, I'm a drug addict, and this is because I've done pills, or I don't have pills, or I just thought I always felt bad because of the stupid shit that I chose to do. And then I started to become educated on mental health. And I knew that I had a bigger problem, and I knew that I was using substances to deal with my problems, but I still was in denial that I had an addiction problem. So I jumped from Xanax, pain pills, or Xanax, any other pill besides pain pills, to pain pills. I started doing Opanas, and I had to snort them in order to get high. And once I started doing that, before I knew it, I'd used meth, I'd used cocaine, heroin. I never got to the IV use level yet, but I was well on my way. And after I met my first husband, I didn't take my addictions too seriously because I was so functioning and I was able to keep my shit together. But he knew that there was something wrong, but he was still kind of feeding my addiction too. Like, I would take, our prescription Adderall, and I don't know, he would say, just go to the doctor and get your own. And I'm like, no, hell no, just give it to me. I just needed something to feel better. And he ended up filing for emergency custody and taking my son for 2.5 weeks. And I had a full on mental breakdown, lost my shit. My mom was in bad shape at this time. Let me add that. Her addiction took a turn when I was in middle school. But after high school, shit got real with her. She was just on prescription medication, and it changed our whole lives, like our whole family. Fucked everything up. And I remember the day that I went and snorted my first pill. I tried to give her a $4,000 check that I'd gotten back from my scholarships to go get help. And she was like, no, I'll get kicked out of my pain pill doctor. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And I just met my first husband, and I was living on my own in college, struggling with, my addiction too. And yeah, that night I told her, I was like, you know what? If you're not going to get better, then I'm going to get strung out too, because I'm so tired of this shit. And I think I kind of did it to like somehow get revenge on her or hurt her. But really all it did was open up a door that took me so many years to shut. And now that bitch is shut, I don't ever want to open it again. So that's when my snorting pill journey started. And after that, it took many years before I progressed. So me and my first husband had gotten back together, had my kid, tried to be happy. We even moved away, like into the city. And yeah, that's when I started doing the Opanas. I got worse than ever there. We moved back to my hometown. And within a couple months, he had left again. I had my son at the time, full time, and then my mom passed away. And I really struggled with depression then. But I was doing pretty good. I'd been on Suboxone for like a year. I hated it, but it was keeping me off of Opanas. So I was proud of myself. And I'd just come off of that before my mom died. And after that, I was taking Xanax. I was smoking. So I wasn't doing terrible, but I still wasn't in recovery. And I didn't drink too much. I experienced a sexual assault when I was 18, and that really just changed my relationship with alcohol. I was at my parents' house, and I could not believe that that happened to me at my safe place. But it was because I drank a fucking quart of moonshine that night. I had alcohol poisoning. So after that, I didn't drink much, but I still, anytime I have drank, it's been a shit show. You know what I mean? Um, so when my mom passed, I met my second husband 3 months later. And we had been together a couple of weeks, and I decided to go out of town with one of my friends. And that weekend, I decided to try cocaine for the first time. And when I came back, I found out that my husband had taken my son. And it's been a real struggle since then. So me and my second husband, we ended up having 2 kids together. We got married. And really my addiction was like a crazy roller coaster. I would do really good for a while. I was totally sober for 9 months. I didn't smoke, but I drank almost every day. And for drug test purposes, I was doing good. But in my head, I was doing worse than ever. Drinking literally a fucking screwdriver at 9 a.m. because like I just couldn't deal, you know? I've always felt like I had to have something. Even if I'm clean, I'm using diet pills, or it's just my mindset when I'm in that active addiction, just that craving and the obsession. So fast forward, the relationship turned abusive. I guess it kind of was abusive all along. I just didn't see it. Like I really didn't. So after we did the cocaine that weekend, and my son, I didn't have any contact with my son for many months. I got pregnant with my second son. You know, I was doing really good then, but I needed my first baby. And that's always been something kind of holding me back too. I've needed to get my kid back. So I knew I couldn't just totally say fuck it and go off the deep end. But I also was hurting so bad, like I almost couldn't get through the day without my kid. So I was really in a dilemma. And I was trying to find the perfect amount of substance to just get me through, you know, instead of just like healing myself and working on myself. So the relationship, there's a lot to that, but we'll just say it ended with my face getting broken. I had to have surgery to get my face reconstructed. And a couple of weeks before the surgery, so the surgery was scheduled on my best friend's birthday, the one that overdosed, that we started doing the pills together all those years ago. When she died, that was definitely a turning point for me. She just had a baby on my birthday. He was 2 months old. She had another daughter. And I'm their godmother and I love them. And I'm like, I don't ever want to have a bad day and say, fuck it, I'm gonna go use. And that be the last day that any of these kids have me here. I don't want to leave them. I lost my mom at 24, and I damn sure don't want these kids to lose me anytime soon. So, sorry. I joined a recovery program at the end of June 29th. It was a MAT doctor, a MAT clinic. It's a recovery center. I knew I had that surgery coming up in July for my face. And I'll tell you this, the month before he broke my nose, I actually was damn near suicidal. That was one of my lowest points. And I'd used that day. And I don't know if I had been that way if I hadn't used heroin that day, but I had. So I'm almost not here anymore. And I really don't think that I would have gotten to that point had I not been high. So the next month he broke my nose. I kind of was just existing for a few months. I can't really remember. Okay. So I started using methadone, thinking like, okay, this will be better than using heroin. And each time that I would go back out there, I would do something a little bit worse. Every single time. It never went back. You know what I mean? So I started doing this methadone, and I'm also doing Xanax, which is apparently very, very deadly. And I had no idea. And that's what he was under the influence of whenever he assaulted me. So when the surgery came around, I knew I was going to be fucked up. I already know me, and I knew these pills. I was just going to go off the deep end. I was so depressed, mentally not doing well at all. really just didn't want to be here and didn't want to do this anymore, didn't want to fight anymore, none of it. And I entered this recovery program in June, had the surgery in July. By the end of the year, I had reached out to a few people online, and they kind of took me under their wing and tried to help me whenever I still didn't really, I knew that I needed some help, but I didn't know exactly what all I needed help with. I just knew I wasn't doing drugs. And I left that relationship a couple of months later, and I committed to not drinking alcohol. And when I did that is when really everything started to get better. And now I'm in a place where I can give back. I can share confidently the shit that I've done in my past, because I know that somebody out there is struggling with it too. I struggled with that shit in silence and in secret for so many years. I remember back in the days whenever I was with my first husband, and he was trying to help me, but I was too ashamed of what I was doing to even accept to myself that I needed help. And like, I just remember how alone I felt. I would always read about addiction and watch people's, I was in this support group called Moms Can. It's where moms struggle with their kids being addicted. I really related to all of those women because of what I was going through with my mom. And I never dreamed I would be in that, be in those shoes one day. So I just know how impactful it was for me to have people speaking out about this shit, because we all struggle with something, whether it's mental health, addiction, all of us. And addiction is not confined to just drugs and alcohol. We can be addicted to a number of things in our life. And I know for me, where I'm at in my journey, I just want peace and I want to be happy and content. And I can't ever jeopardize getting back in that mindset, because it's hard. It's still a struggle every single day being sober. I still struggle with the same mental health issues. I just don't have these substances fucking everything up. It throws my chemicals off so much whenever I do anything. And I've always been that way. I can go months and be clean and be like, oh, I'll have a little. And before I know it, I'm doing this shit every day. That's just who I am as a person. I don't do shit in moderation, and I can't do it. And I think a lot of us drug addicts, we think like, oh, we're not alcoholics. Like, that was me. That truly was me just a few months ago. And now, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to say I'm an alcoholic, but I am, because my relationship with alcohol has been unhealthy since day one. And I don't know, I'm really thankful for the sobriety community that's out there. You guys inspire us to speak out, and it makes us feel, I don't know, a little bit less alone, a little bit less fucked up, to know that there's a group of us and we're finally not ashamed of it anymore, and it's okay what we've done in our past, as long as we continue on this path moving forward. Because I think most of us know if we go back out there, we may not ever come back. That's where it's at. So, sorry. I don't know. I feel like I've never looked at myself as a role model ever. That someone that people can look up to and be inspired by, ever. And it wasn't until I started speaking out about this shit publicly that I learned that I actually am that. Not I can be that, I am that. And it's really empowering and it's motivating. And so where I'm at in my journey now, I guess I'm getting close to a year and a half. It's like almost 450 days where I'm at sober. And that's huge for me. And I didn't really feel ready up until this point to try to help other people, because I didn't really know how to help myself still. And it's been like a self-healing journey for me the whole way. I've never been to treatment. I am in this recovery program where I get counseling and I get to check in with the doctor, and they help me figure out what meds I need. And it's awesome to just have that support. I never thought I would want to be held accountable by doctors. I always tried to stay away from them ever finding out how I really feel about the meds. You know what I mean? I was afraid that I wouldn't get prescribed any of the good shit anymore. And now I just want to get prescribed what I need and what helps me. It's really a mindset for me, addiction, like recovery. I'm in a recovery mindset, not a using mindset. Even if I'm not actually using the substance, I can be there mentally. You know what I mean? It used to literally control me. I felt like I couldn't get out of bed without something. I felt like I couldn't be happy. I couldn't clean my house. And now if I have those days where I don't feel like doing that shit, I just don't do that shit, and it's okay. And I'm able to identify my feelings now and recognize, like yesterday, I had a terrible day. I had some heavy shit going on and I was feeling angry and like just in a mood. And I went to my mom's grave and I left and I was able to reflect. But if I went up to my mom's grave and took a bottle of wine, I would have left and went and got another bottle of wine, and who knows where I'd be at right now today. That's all it takes. And there's so many more people like us, especially people like me that live in secret and in silence. And on the outside, we just appear totally fine. And on the inside, we're literally dying and struggling. We're fighting every day just to get through. And we feel so ashamed of ourselves for what we're feeling on the inside. And we want to fix it, but we're too scared to reach out and ask for help and take that first step. And that's really all it takes, is that first step. If I'd never reached out to my man Marty, you know, and he hadn't hooked me up with Haley, and then I hadn't been introduced to the meetings and the rooms and the online community, I very much stayed away from social media. It really did make me feel good about myself to know that I looked decent in my pictures with my kids, but I was such a piece of shit on the inside, and I was struggling so deeply, you know. And like now I know that I wasn't a piece of shit. I was sick and I was lost, and I needed help and I needed some treatment. And I think treatment comes in a lot of different forms. Sometimes I wish that I'd gone to some kind of treatment center and learned those tools, but it's not too late for me to learn that shit now. I really want to work these steps and I want to get active, kind of like I spoke on with you earlier. I kind of got off track when it came to focusing on me, and I didn't use, but I definitely feel like it was a setback mentally, and I'm ready now to focus on me and take care of me and figure out what it is that I need. And I know that helping people is something that's always helped me. And if I can help people by just being honest about what I've done and what I've experienced and what I'm going through, we really find out that there's so many other people out there and we're not alone. And I have 15,000 people behind me supporting me on TikTok. And I never thought that I would be one of those people. They piss me off banning my shit all the time. So I'm really trying to come on over to Instagram, I think. But I don't want to leave the people. These people have encouraged me and supported me so much. I would not be sitting right here today if it weren't for the recovery community encouraging me to do this. And for you, for giving me the opportunity. But yeah, so I have a lot more to say, a lot more to learn, but I'm excited to be on this journey and have everybody join along with me. And I hope that one person can take away from this and know that they're not alone. And I'm here. My inbox is always open for anybody that needs to talk. I don't know exactly what steps to take to help people, but I would love to learn and be able to give back and help people, because there's been so many people that have helped me along the way. I have not done it alone. My faith, that's been my number one. So I would start there, and then you can inbox me and I got you. If you guys want to connect with me or follow along with my journey, I'm on TikTok and Instagram at Monica from TikTok. Is that good?